Dr. Montague, your resume says you served as a senior investigator on the JFK Assassination Records Review Board. Tell us all about that. You've been talking a little bit about that. What did you find out? Oh. Nothing. Sounds like nothing because nobody would talk.
Actually, quite the opposite.
Good.
People love to talk about it.
Were they saying anything good?
Yes.
So Ruby did shoot JFK.
Oh, well, wait a minute. So we know Ruby shot Oswald on live TV.
I mean, right. Ruby shot Oswald. Did Oswald shoot JFK?
So that is something that if you want my personal belief, I don't know how, because, the Warren Commission, and for your listeners out there, there have been multiple investigations, federal agencies, that is, put together to examine and re-examine the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, also Attorney General Robert Kennedy, mm-hmm. and also Dr. Martin Luther King, which was the focus of not only the House Select Committee on Assassinations, but our agency as well. So the official findings of the Warren Commission in the Warren Report in 1963 was that, from that started in 1963, was that Oswald acted alone as the lone gunman, and during the 70s. There was material introduced during the House Select Committee on Assassinations, which was another reinvestigation into the assassination in the 70s. That's where there was material from audio evidence from one of the Dallas police motorcycles that was introduced. I believe it was by Robert Groden, who was a consultant to the House Select Committee, HSCA, at that time. And so even though the HSCA did not determine that is proof of anything, the fact is that was the first time that I'm aware of that an alternative to the conspiracy theory was put in. Basically, that the audio evidence indicated that there might be an additional gunman. So my takeaway from my time there, based on the hundreds of people that I interviewed, the records that I've reviewed, I had to travel to a lot of different official government facilities and some other places to look at things and talk to people and negotiate things. I just don't know how Oswald could have done something like that by himself.
Well, he had to be hired by somebody.
There's a lot of information that's there at the archives. We went through all of his personal belongings. We went through the material from when he was in custody, right after the assassination. And then we also looked at the material that was done on him for the documentaries that were done.
What about the cop? So what did the motorcycle cop say about it?
Well,
you mentioned him, that his testimony came up during your time.
Well, there was actually audio recording evidence that was introduced. That's what I'm saying too.
Oh.
And so there were many people that said that they thought they heard additional shots. And so part of the reason that there was another investigation beyond the Warren Report was that a lot of people, once the Warren Report was released, said that they gave evidence to people. They had photos. They gave statements. They were in Dealey Plaza. That's in Dallas, Texas, Dealey Plaza, and that those reports or records did not appear in the official Warren Report.
Oh, somebody.
Oh, many people said that, and then I ran into a few people who also acknowledged that during my time, just corroborated in some cases. And remember, this is 20 years ago this happened for me to do these interviews, but some of them still stand out. But a lot of that we documented in our official findings that are available publicly in the official report that was submitted by the Assassination Board to President Clinton, who was president at the time. And so there were a lot of people that I think it's important for anyone that is not familiar with the complexity and the scale of that assassination, that event in American history compared to others. I have compared it to 9/11 in some ways because, 9/11, people know where they were when it happened. People were terrified. There was a 9/11 commission put together. It was a federal agency. That's the 9/11 commission. Mm-hmm. When you think of the JFK assassination, people who were there, they know. I mean, I interviewed so many people that broke down in tears. And for one thing, I was able to let them know officially and we went through the transition technology-wise from faxing documents to attaching documents to email during my tenure, because it was mid-90s at that point, and so there were a lot of people that were pleased to know that there was nothing for them to feel like they couldn't say.
Oh, that is nice.
Right.
So you're saying, though, that there were more papers given and interviews done at that time that weren't all given to the Warren Commission? So there was a cover-up of some sort.
Well, what I'm saying is that even at the time that the Warren report was released, and mind you, this is the 1960s, and even when we were doing our work in the 1990s, and I can only attest to the fact that I spoke with a lot of people that said that they had turned over statements and records
and you didn't have
photos, and that they were not ever put in the official records.
So we know Oswald shot, and we know that Ruby came out and shot Oswald to keep him from not talking. I was alive, actually, during this time. Were you, David, alive?
No, I was born in 66.
So I was alive. I'll tell you where I was, because you're exactly right. We all know where we were. I was sitting in class, and the principal of my grade school came over the intercom crying and said, this has just been shot. Everybody go home.
Right.
And we all walked home. So, so you're right. Everybody does remember where they were, and then we're all at home watching TV, and there's no DVR, and there's just real time.
Right.
And I'm watching it, and Ruby comes out and shoots Oswald right there in front of me and my mother, and I thought my mother was gonna lose it. She was like, "He just got shot! He just got shot!" I mean, there was just me and Mom at the house, and she didn't have another adult to talk to about it.
Right.
And so that part we all know is true, but what we don't know is who hired Oswald, and who do we? Did Ruby ever say who hired him?
So
to shoot Oswald?
So what I'm saying is, we don't have any. The Warren Commission said Oswald was a lone gunman,
But he's not.
and,
so we don't
and some
know.
have said that Oswald was not a gunman at all. And so there are multiple. And one of the things I think was interesting about the work that we did was, we had to look at multiple, avenues and multiple angles of this thing. Such as multiple Oswald theory, the belief that there were multiple people that were living that life as Oswald or Oswald-like, if you will, to be able to maintain official records in different places, be able to work in certain patterns or operate in certain patterns. There's still so much controversy about his defection, so-called, to the Soviet Union, and how did he get back in the country? What was going on with him while he was in the Soviet Union? I mean, I did a podcast not too long ago with Ernst Tidovets, who is a friend of Oswald's in Belarus.
What's the name of that podcast?
It was the PDB podcast.
Okay.
Patrick David.
Okay, we'll have to put that on the website.
In Fort Lauderdale. Yeah.
And so what did he? So Oswald was connected to the Soviet Union?
Oswald left the United States and went to the Soviet Union, and then that's where he became his wife, Marina Oswald. They had a baby, and they came back to the United States, and that seemed kind of unusual at the time to be able to get your family to be able to come back around the same period of time. What connections might you have? What was this connection to people like industrialists like George de Mohrenschildt? It's like, that's like, what's the guy that owns Tesla?
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
It's like me buddies with Elon Musk, It's
yeah,
like,
how did he end up doing that?
and then and George de Mohrenschildt, who was visited by, I guess, my equivalent during the days of the HSCA in the 70s, was found dead in his home later on that day after.
Who was found dead in their home?
George de Mohrenschildt.
And how was he connected? He was the Elon Musk guy.
He was an industrialist.
Interesting.
I just used Elon Musk, but not Elon Musk.
But that also had to do with Russia. That was connected to Russia. Also, was
well,
he?
What I'm saying is there were so many different angles connected to the enigma that I call Lee Harvey Oswald. In his life, and some question whether he was really just a patsy and not really a gunman at all.
It would have to be Russia to be able to kill so many people and not get caught.
They're falling out of windows all the time over there.
That's what I mean. That's exactly
Sorry,
what
we won't go
All
that way.
We've got to
We
take
won't go
a
that
break.
way.
we got to get off this subject. We got a lot more to cover.
If you like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the picture in the center of the screen. For more of Kerry's interviews, click either video on the right of the screen. And as always, thank you for watching.